Hello, my name is Angel Mobley, and I'm here today to talk about my Transition Innovation Grant called Can You Hear Me Now? I also work with a special collaborator, Stephanie Miller, and she's not here with us today because she had a death in the family, but our prayers are with her. My grant was 4 parts. It talked about giving students voice and giving teachers voice in improving instructional habits, I guess you could say. And so the first part was a sound amplification system, and it's simply a microphone that goes around the teacher's neck, and you can adjust it and turn it on, and you have a speaker in the classroom, and it makes you amplified, and the students can hear you as well in the back of the room as they can in the front of the room. And so it really decreased on how many times you had to repeat directions. I think it kept students on task better because you judged your proximity better, and students, even if you weren't beside of them, you sounded as if you were. So that was the first part. I was a little leery at first about going a microphone in the classroom, but it worked out really well, and I really love this part of the grant. The second part of the grant was a cue ball that I purchased, and this was to give students voice. A lot of times you'll ask a question and a student will respond, and if they're even in the front of the room, if they're mumbling, you can't really hear that answer and you have to ask them to repeat it. And so it's really hard to do that for students because they don't like to speak in general, but if they have to repeat it over and over again, a lot of times you lose that answer. So the cue ball works as you can see here, it has a power button, and it also has a Bluetooth speaker that comes with it, and you simply can toss the ball and students will catch it, and then they refer to the answer in the ball. This was a very interesting research project because students, it varied from class to class. Some students wouldn't throw the ball back to me because they were afraid they'd hurt me or injure the ball, so they just kind of kept it there, and they were like, here, come and get it. And other students would whiz it across the classroom and have no problem at all. But some of them didn't like using the microphone, but they loved throwing the ball back and forth to each other and being able to ask each other questions. This particular part of the grant, I would say, improved student engagement by 100% on the days that I used it. And the kids really loved it, and it created a lot of laughter in the classroom, and I think anytime you can do that, you improve learning and you improve relationships. So that was a really great part of the grant. I highly recommend it to other teachers, and it's called the cue ball. The third part of the grant, I usually try to include arts and humanities into my teaching and learning, and I've got some teachers in the building that I work with, and I try to help them out when I can. And so this year we purchased a sound system. It has 2 large microphones that are up on stands, and it has a microphone with it, and the kids did presentations in class. They got to have a play where they could actually sound, and everybody in the audience could hear them for once, and so we were really thrilled with that. The other thing with it is that our speech team had a conflict with the homecoming dance, and they used the speakers and the microphone, the speech coach did, to give them a homecoming dance of their own in her classroom with decorations and everything. So again, I thought that's just another way that we build relationships at Knott County Central. So I was really pleased with that. The last portion of my grant happened 3 years ago. KVEC has been kind enough to sponsor my grants from year to year, and I really appreciate that. And what we created was an art collaboration with literature, and each year students make submissions, and it all started because we didn't have an art teacher one year, and for our students it was a big loss. They really wanted to have something to participate in, so we created a club called Patriotivity, and the students submit all kinds of artwork and all kinds of stories and poems and anything that they use to express themselves, to give themselves a voice, to be recognized. And so this will be our 3rd volume of Patriotivity. We don't charge anything for it. The kids generally give their parents and grandparents and family copies of it. We usually give them out at the Fire Summit, but this year, unfortunately, we're virtual, so we can't do that. But we will have copies available at KVEC if you would like to pick one up. But it's a great book. But the biggest thing about the book is that we meet once a month to talk about the artwork, to eat a little food, to have laughs, and to see what we're going with in the procedure. And it's really just giving those kids a place to belong. And so I think that's the biggest part of this grant, is that it gave students a voice in different ways to belong and to fit in at our high school a little bit better. And if you enjoy and fit in at a high school, that makes you want to come to school more, and it improves attendance. So that was generally what my grant was about.